What's up, Central Illinois business owners? We know that insurance and employee benefits are one of the most expensive, confusing, and frustrating hurdles that you face in your business today. Garrett and I work with Central Illinois businesses to create insurance and risk management programs and employee benefit solutions that reduce risk, enhance your business, and maximize your profitability. Head to CIBLinsurance.com to learn more about insurance solutions that are specifically designed for your Central Illinois businesses and to watch our educational videos about work comp, employee health insurance, commercial insurance, and other insurance products to help your business go to the next level. Go to CIBLinsurance.com. We'll see you there.
Welcome to the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast, where business owners, thought leaders, and community champions from across Central Illinois come to share their story. The Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast. Anything less would be uncivilized.
What's up, Central Illinois? I am Derek Hayden here with Garrett Ulmer. We are your hosts for the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast. Without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce today's guest. Today's guest earned her business management degree from Kentucky Christian University, where she was voted the most outstanding business student in 2010. She's a member of the Effingham Sunrise Rotary, a board member of the Effingham Unit 40 Education Foundation, a board member for Effingham County 100 Women Who Care, and also a board member on the Effingham Tourism Board, as well as a mentor for the Effingham County CEO class. In 2013, she was voted to the Effingham County Chamber of Commerce's top community leaders under 40. She is currently a real estate broker at Caldwell Banker in Effingham and is the events manager at Firefly Grill. She is also the co-host of A Wedding Podcast with Katie and Stefan. I also mentioned that she is the #1 fan of Tim Tebow. Central Illinois, please welcome to the show, Miss Katie Koester. How are you, Katie?
I'm good. How are you all?
Doing very well.
Good. So Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
We are very excited as well. Was that an okay introduction?
It was okay. I mean, I think you pumped me up just a little bit more. You know, it sounded a little cooler than what I am, but I'll take anything I can get at this point.
Awesome. Well, are you still a big Tim Tebow fan? I knew at one point that was like, okay.
You know, he was like my ideal perfect man, but then he decided to get married and not to me, which is that's pretty shameful for him, really.
Right,
he's the one that lost it in that. So
that's right.
I see that he's going to be playing some football again, possibly. So
I know it's about time. That baseball thing was a little not very good for him. So
right. Well,
it's
good
crazy.
Deal, Katie. I'll go ahead and kick it over to Garrett to get to know Katie a little bit better.
Well, Katie, we appreciate you jumping on here with us for a little while.
Yeah.
Wow, I would ask you what you do in your spare time, but from the sound of that intro, I don't think there is much spare time.
I don't have much, but I have some pretty awesome nieces and nephews I love spending my free time with. So
awesome. Well, typically what we do is we ask 6 questions in under 60 seconds. So before we dive into your story too far, the listeners can get a little bit better understanding of who Katie is. All right?
Yeah, I love it.
All right. So your first concert.
First concert was a Christian ladies group called Point of Grace when I was like 7 years old. So.
All right. Awesome. Your favorite movie?
Favorite movie is Sound of Music.
All right. Favorite ice cream flavor?
Cookie dough. Can't go wrong.
I'm right there with you. Are you an iPhone or Android user?
iPhone. Is there any other choice?
I'm right there with you again. Favorite social media platform?
TikTok.
All right. That's a new one.
Yeah, that's a new one.
And why Central Illinois?
I mean, the best place to work, grow a family, be involved in the community. There's no other choice.
Yeah. Awesome.
Very good. So TikTok, real quick. Tell us about TikTok, because I will tell you, Garrett and I, we've dabbled. I think I started an account and then deleted it 2 weeks later because I was overwhelmed. Tell us a little bit why you like that and what you use it for.
I love that it's mindless, so I can get lost in TikTok for hours, which is maybe not a good thing. But we just started using it as a marketing piece for our podcast, just actually in the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
And we had one video this week hit 30K views, which is just crazy, which has boosted our podcast up crazy, which we've seen crazy success with the podcast, but man, it's gone crazy in just the last few days. So
I'm writing this
hot
down.
off the press. Yeah.
Yep. I did too.
So TikTok, it's the place to be these days. And their algorithm is just crazy accurate, which I just think is a little scary, but also awesome for us that are looking to boost, our businesses in this area. So
Yeah, that's
Very
great.
cool.
No, like Derek said,
Yeah.
I think him and I started our TikTok accounts at about the same time. And
Yeah.
within like a week or two, I'm like, I feel like the old guy in the room. I'm like,
I know.
just don't, I'm kind of lost. So
Yeah, me too. I'm still learning. So,
Katie, what we'll do next, take us back to however far you want to go back and bring us to where you are today, how you became the events manager at Firefly, a real estate broker at Coldwell Banker. Tell us how it all happened.
Yeah, so I'm surprised that I said Sound of Music for my favorite movie, because my real favorite movie growing up was Father of the Bride. I don't know if you've all have ever seen it. Martin Short, Steve Martin, like the dynamic comedy duo. I used to watch that as a child on repeat so much, in fact, that my brother hates that movie now because I watched it so often. And when I was growing up, I told my mom, I said, I'm going to be a wedding planner. And she was like, that's great and all, but like, maybe you should find a job that makes some money. And I'm like, yeah, because in Central Illinois, there's not very many of us, that's for sure, but it's growing and continues to. So I watched that nonstop. I always had the dream of being a wedding planner. So I went to college at KCU just to basically do a business degree, because my mom said, God love her, she always supported me, but she was always the smart one. No, always listen to your mom. She said, why don't you get a business degree? Because if this whole wedding thing doesn't work out, then you can get a job anywhere doing anything, So I went to school there, graduated, and I actually did it in 3 years, which was kind of a goal that I set from day one. I said, I want to get my bachelor's in 3 years, whatever it takes. And it was to the point where my senior year, I took 32 credit hours one semester, which I don't recommend for anybody. That was really dumb on my part. But after that, I actually got a job at a casino in Florence, Indiana, right outside of, it's actually in between Cincinnati and Louisville, Kentucky. And I got basically a job that I was not qualified for, but I begged and pleaded and did everything I could to get this job, because I thought I will learn so much. I've got to have this job. So I worked at the casino for about 1.5 years. And the best part is when they sit you down and say, you're not very good at this job. And you're like, yeah, I know. help me. So, learned a lot there. I did weddings, and I did like big concerts and things for people, booked, writers and entertainers and things like that. And then I moved back to the community of Effingham, because I knew I wanted that big city experience, but I knew that I would want to grow a business or something here. So I came back and I worked for the Chamber of Commerce for about 2 years, and I did marketing and events for them. And I'd say that's been the most rewarding job for me, because if you want to know something about the business community, wherever you live, the Chamber of Commerce knows all. So I got to learn a lot there, met really good people through networking and things like that, but always knew that I wanted to fall back on weddings somehow, but just wasn't sure how I would incorporate that. So I started working for my biggest mentor, is what I call her, Patty Green, at the Keller Convention Center. After that, and things just fell into place. I was so happy there. Actually, I did Derek's wedding with his wife, so that was fun.
Yep.
And then I started getting recruited from the Firefly, and you never feel like you're very good at your job until somebody wants you, and then you're like, man, maybe I know what I'm doing. So the Firefly begged and pleaded, and finally offered me a great offer that I couldn't resist. And I've been here for about 4.5 years now, and I've developed my job. They really didn't know what they wanted me to do when they hired me. They were like, do something with events. We just want you. So I've kind of built the job to what I want it to be. And I'm really, really enjoying it. If you want, your eyes open to work in a restaurant, let me tell you. They're the hardest working people in the business, I think.
Oh, for sure.
They
That's
are.
a pretty cool story,
So,
Kate. To hear how you came up with the idea of being a wedding planner through a movie when you were young, and then actually seeing it come to fruition later in life, that's pretty cool. So
some people want to be a nurse or a lawyer. I wanted to be a wedding planner. So
right. Well, good for you. I wanted to be a baseball player. It didn't quite work out. So I just settled for selling insurance, So
I mean, I heard it's the next best thing. Baseball player selling insurance. So you're good.
Well, I'll tell you, Katie, Derek wanted to be a baseball player, so we do get to hear a few good of his glory days stories about how when he played college ball, and so sometimes we got to snap him and say, Derek, you got to wake up now, get out of it.
You don't play for the Cubs, okay?
I don't. It wouldn't hurt them this year, I don't think, if I were running.
No. I don't think it would either.
No, that's for sure.
So wedding planning, we'll talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah.
I know me as the groom, I was there. I like to taste the food that I don't even think the food that I picked ended up being served in our wedding. But anyway, tell us about some of the things that go into, you don't have to get super deep because I know we'll get into your podcast that you're a co-host in a little bit. But
yeah,
for those out there who are looking to plan a wedding or have questions about it, where should they start? How should they contact a wedding planner? Where should you begin that process?
Yeah, so we were talking about social media earlier, and I think that is the best place to start for when you're looking for anything, honestly, but especially for weddings, because what do brides want these days is that Instagrammable wedding. So, I always tell them to start stalking vendors, locations, and your look, your vibe by using Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, even now, and all of those places, just because that's going to give you kind of an idea of what you want for your wedding, and it kind of sets the tone for the remainder of the planning. And then obviously ask your friends and family, especially if you're getting married in somewhere that's maybe a little bit out of the box for you. Maybe it's somewhere where you didn't grow up or you don't live. The locals are the ones that know.
Yeah, sure.
But I always encourage people to really do their research. That's the biggest thing that they can do before they even start the entire process, because it's very overwhelming. Brides have a lot on their plates, especially just for one day. So that kind of sets the tone for sure.
Gotcha. Great. So the Firefly, I'm sure. Let's start off with, I guess, for people who don't know what the Firefly Grill is, it's kind of become a spot for everybody. It's the talk of the town. What the Firefly does, it's kind of got its unique atmosphere and unique offerings. What is the Firefly Grill, and what do they do?
Sure. So we just celebrated our 15th birthday this year. So we've been open for 15 years. We opened on Fat Tuesday in 2006 as a completely different concept than kind of we are now. So they opened up as, all local, everything, farm and table, small atmosphere. They started with like chalkboard menus, and we've grown crazy, even just over the last 4.5 years. So now we are still farm and table. Everything that comes to your plate is within a 90-minute radius, 90 miles. But it is literally just kind of a way of life. So we do everything from making sure we use all local ingredients to sustainable things. We recycle like crazy. We use anything and everything. So we say we use every part of every vegetable. And then we just have grown to do crazy events, corporate events. We do catering now. We just launched that 3 years ago. And our business has just grown exponentially in the last probably 5 to 6 years. We also run under an entrepreneurial operating system called EOS. So EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System. And that's how we basically communicate and run our business as a whole. And it allows our employees to really be comfortable with saying things that they think can improve the restaurant, or, coming face to face with an issue that maybe we don't see as management or as owners. And it's really developed not only our team, but our restaurant as a whole. And I think that that's why we're so successful, which is great.
EOS is what I was
yes.
Yeah. So is that like a database, or like just a communication system? What exactly is that?
It's an operating system, and it's operations for our whole restaurant. It was actually started by Gino Wickman. He has a great book that I recommend called Traction, and it's basically like takes companies that are maybe suffering with communication or not growing, and it teaches them how to grow as a company, which would in turn grow in sales and things like that. So it's really changed our company as a whole.
Awesome. And so employees are able to share their own feedback throughout the day of, hey, this looks like something we could improve on. Here's some recommendations. That's awesome.
Not to jump too far back into time, Katie, but one of the things I'm always interested to find out, you seem like an extremely motivated and driven individual. When you started, finally said, okay, I'm going to start the wedding stuff, what did you use to get started? Did you face any struggles? And if you did, how did you overcome those?
Yeah, I think everybody struggles, especially when starting a new business, especially a new venture, because you just don't know what you're going to get yourself into. The unknown is always a little bit scary. My thing was, I just didn't think I was going to be good enough. You see all these very successful people, and no matter what type of business you're looking for. So, baseball, for instance, you see these very successful baseball players, or, wedding planners like David Tutera is a huge one that's known all over the world. And you think, I don't think I'll ever be on his level, but you take that and you make it your own. And I think that that's what really worked for me, is I thought, this is what I want to do. So what steps can I take to get there? And really just, I'm old school, and I like a good pro and con chart. I use that every time I do anything. And, all of a sudden I was like, well, there's more pros than cons. So I just need to jump in and do it. And that really was a successful thing for me. So.
Awesome.
Very good.
Yeah.
So we read through your list of volunteer opportunities that you take part in.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're a very big believer in community. You're a big Effingham supporter, Effingham County supporter. What are some reasons why you are so active in volunteer opportunities in Effingham County? Just share with us your thought process behind that.
Yeah, so I feel like, what's the next steps for communities? And that's the young leaders that we're molding now. So that's why I love the CEO class specifically, as well as the Education Foundation, because I want to make sure that no matter walk of life you're in, or no matter what kind of family you come from or background, you are given the same opportunities as everybody in this community. And I feel like investing in those young leaders will allow them to come back to this community and continue to let it be the community that it is. Effingham's awesome. I mean, everybody knows everybody, but then everybody is, it's crazy the amount of businesses that have come from this community that are so big, like John Booth. That's a huge cutting board company all over the world. And that came from a small town like Effingham, Illinois. So I think investing in those young leaders is the biggest thing for me. And I just feel like that's what's really going to make the community continue to thrive.
I agree. You never realize when you're younger, let's say high school age, you don't realize how many people are involved in your success.
Yes.
How many people share their time and expertise and even money sometimes to support you as you're developing yourself. And, once you're out of school, out of college, you get back into the community, you say, wow, I didn't realize how many people were actually a part of molding me into who I am today. And, I agree. Community activity and community support is something that I'm a big believer in, and hopefully I can pay it back with all the people who supported me over the years, and I think that you do a great job of doing that as well, Katie.
And I think that's a big thing. I have so many mentors that I can name, off the top of my head, that have helped me in my journey, regardless if it's helped me in this position or get involved with something or learn more about a certain trade or business. Like, those are the people that have helped me. So I hope that I can be a small percentage of what those people were to me directly. And I just think that we have to pay it forward in order to continue to let communities grow.
Yep, absolutely.
Yes. So let's go ahead and shift gears back to your podcast and to marketing. So we talked about TikTok a little bit and how and you said that's built up your podcast crowd. Is that correct?
Like crazy. Yes. We're seeing crazy numbers just in the last 2 weeks. I mean, we've always been very successful. We just, like I said, we're midway through our third season. So we continue to see our podcast grow weekly, daily, etc. I feel like now by the third season, we've kind of got a good idea of what we're doing. We have a good planning process. We've hit kind of a good time stamp of what we think we're going to be. But we've been posting on TikTok and have seen just crazy, listens for our podcast have doubled in the last 2 weeks. And that's from one social media one platform. So that's been huge for us. And we really just offer, tips and tricks to plan a wedding. Should I invite my boyfriend, my cousin's boyfriend. Should I have a cake at my wedding? Should, we talk about finances. We've talked about insurance. We've talked about all kinds of things that I don't think people, just because you're getting married, it's not all, glue guns and floral arrangements. There's more to it as well. Maybe you want to buy a house. Maybe you need to have joint checking accounts. We kind of try to cover every single thing.
So are you just making short videos, or what exactly are you kind of trying to target?
Yeah. So for TikTok, we've been doing specific questions. So recently, we had a video hit almost 32,000 views.
That's
and it
awesome.
Basically was us telling people that a wedding can be anything that you want it to be. If you don't want to have cake at your wedding, who cares?
Yeah.
If you don't want to wear a white dress to your wedding, no one cares. It's your own day. And that one went crazy. And it's just crazy the amount of people that have commented like, thank you for saying this. Like, my parents don't understand this, or my grandma thinks it needs to be this way, or my cousin, etc. And then I was actually going through our emails before I hopped on, and we've had probably 10 to 12 people just email us certain questions that they want us to cover, not only on the podcast, but on TikTok as well. And I'm like, wow, there are people out there that need help with this, and we're here to do that. So whatever it takes to get this information out, we're willing to do at this point.
Derek, I think we just need to hire her
Yes.
to do our TikTok.
I
Yes.
really can't take any credit for it. Stefan, who I do my podcast with, is a graphic designer, photographer, videographer, and he handles a lot of that kind of stuff. I'm good at the talking part and the answering of the questions and the emails, but in terms of the video, he's awesome. I mean, I really can't ask for a better podcast co-host, that's for sure.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So the TikTok videos, what is the key to the success of those being viewed? Is it hashtags, or is it what is it that helps you get the views that you've seen?
Yeah, so with TikTok, definitely the hashtags are crazy, because I don't know how much you guys know about TikTok, but the algorithm is crazy accurate. I mean, I can watch a full-length video. A video on TikTok is 15 seconds to a minute. So I can watch one video about organization, and all of a sudden it knows that I watched that whole video. So it's going to show me 10 videos about organization. And after watching one video, the algorithm, again, it's a little scary, but it's crazy accurate. And so I think with TikTok, the biggest thing is get to your point quickly. So our videos specifically answer the question within the first, 5 to 10 seconds, but then, the hashtags also will get that for you. So we do like wedding planning, wedding reception, wedding questions are some big hashtags that we use that target that, right away.
Okay.
Gotcha. If you are a business owner and listening to this, you better write it down.
Absolutely. I'm going to launch our Firefly TikTok probably next week.
Okay.
Because I think, something that would be really great for our restaurant is like chef skills with our owner and executive chef, Chef Niall. People will eat that up, and that's what we're willing to, we're willing to do that. If that's going to get more people in our door, then if, from a quick 30-second video, then I'm in. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Now, are you still utilizing Facebook, Instagram, those other platforms, or you focus more on TikTok right now?
Yeah, so for podcasts specifically, we're doing just Instagram and TikTok right now. But for Firefly, I actually do probably more Facebook than anything, just because it's different demographics. On Facebook, it's going to be a little bit of your older crowd, which, I mean, I'm a Facebooker and I'm, a millennial, but, it's going to be your baby boomers and things like that are on Facebook, which we want people like that to come into the restaurant. But we're going to do a little bit more targeted marketing for Gen Z and the millennials on TikTok, just because I think that's more their platform. Instagram to me is still awesome. They have the same feature basically as TikTok. It's called Instagram Reels. So REELS, and it's basically the same thing as TikTok. It's just a different platform. So we've been playing around with those as well, specifically for the podcast. And we see about 1,500 views to 2,000 views on those. But definitely TikTok is the way to go for that younger crowd.
Gotcha.
So what you're saying is target marketing has worked for you. So obviously,
yes, it has.
Okay, you're not going after.
I love a good target marketing. Yeah. I think target marketing is the way to go right now because there are so many different things that people are trying to market at this point, and that's why I feel like we call it naming our avatar at Firefly. So we've made specific avatars for people that we want to come through our doors. So, one being that one of them, I'll call this out right now, is the health conscious mom. So we do target marketing for kids menu stuff, feeding the fish. There's all kinds of different things that we target specifically for that customer. Another one is a retired gentleman for us because we see a lot of that with the lake being so close in Effingham, and we have a lot of golf courses. So that's another kind of target marketing that we do, but we build different avatars based on the time of year, and that's who we market to. So that's been a fun adventure as well.
Has it been pretty successful for you once you narrowed down your target?
It has, because we have different sales strategies for all of them. We have different ways of kind of catching their eyes, and we've definitely seen some movement there.
I feel like in a lot of individuals that we talk to or listen to in business, when you learn your target market or can identify your target, things get a lot better. Instead of trying to grab everybody, if you've got a certain 5 people or types of people that you want to bring into the restaurant, that, what better way to just target the ones you got a good opportunity to get in the door?
Absolutely. A really good, I actually have it right here. A really good way to do that is a book called The One-Page Marketing Plan. I don't know if you guys have ever read it. This is a great, great marketing book. I'm just going to tell you, this is exactly what we use to create our avatars. And we've seen so much growth from it that's kind of crazy. So this is a great marketing book. And I'm not even like a super book reader. I'll call myself out. This one I couldn't put down. I was like, I need to learn all of this. So
very cool.
Yeah.
That's great. So you're the podcast co-host of a wedding podcast. You're the events manager at Firefly, but you're also the social media manager at Firefly. Is that correct? So
so I do all of our marketing as well. Yep.
Okay.
So it's myself, and then I actually have a virtual assistant that does a lot of stuff for me as well. She's based out of North Carolina. So it's kind of crazy that she does marketing for a business in Effingham, but she does a lot of the like planning and executing stuff, whereas I kind of go through and, we plan together and then she executes a lot of it, which is awesome.
Well, that's something.
So I can't take full credit. I have to call her out as well because she does a lot of work too.
Well, that's good. Well, that's another thing that's becoming a huge impact for businesses is the use of virtual assistants. And we see it specifically in the insurance space, of course. And we can outsource stuff to virtual assistants, not even in our country in some cases. So utilizing that. So is that someone that you use just for marketing, or what all do you push to that virtual assistant?
Yeah, so we actually have 2 that work for us at Firefly. One is just more specific for marketing and things like that. And then the other, we actually use our owners, Niall and Christy Campbell, actually use her for kind of some personal things. And then together, they actually do a lot of our hiring, et cetera. So we've worked kind of some procedures with them to hire different specific jobs. So they do the social media marketing for those, they do Indeed for us, and then they actually do all of our first round interviews before they come into the restaurant. And we've seen some great success with that as well, because that just seems to be something that it's really important. Everybody's hiring. We need more people. Everybody needs more people coming off of COVID, but it's something that unfortunately we don't have a lot of time to do. But it's so important. So you don't, it's a hard task, but we've kind of put it off on them, and we've hired some really, really great people that I don't think we necessarily would have even interviewed, but they have the time to do it. So we've seen some great people walk through our doors, including our new front of house manager. So through COVID, we lost our front of house manager. He moved on to a different adventure, which is totally fine. And we found Kristen, who's our new front of house leader, and she's awesome. And we found her through them, and she's a lifer. We've hired her husband now, the whole family. So
when you guys made the decision to look for a virtual assistant, how did you kind of go through that process? Obviously it sounds like utilizing that has worked out tremendously for you guys.
It has.
I know Derek and I keep hearing it a lot more in just the insurance space. So what's kind of a way that made you guys decide, hey, we can do this, and what the process of going through to finding the right one?
Yeah, so I think the biggest process is organization and knowing exactly what you want that person to do. Because I will admit, we had a virtual assistant 2 years ago, and it was kind of like, can you do this? Can you do this? We continued to just put random projects on this person, and I don't think that we set them up for success, and that's why they didn't work well with our company. So before we hired this, we actually hired mine first. Her name's Erica. I basically wrote down exactly what I needed. I kind of put together what we call a SWOT analysis. So it's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I kind of went through and I was like, okay, so these are the things that I'm really good at. And these are the things that I'm really bad at. So let's give those to her and see how she thrives. But I set her up to with procedures and processes to really make her successful. And then we did that with our second one as well.
Gotcha.
Very cool.
Great.
Well, I know that we could probably talk for about 5 hours on marketing, maybe even longer.
We could have a full discussion about marketing because I'm obsessed with marketing. So
great.
It's a passion of Derek and I's as well. And we're always looking for new avenues and new ways to grow in that area for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
The video thing. Well, Katie, I think you were there at the Effingham Sunrise Rotary. I talked about video in your business and how that's catapulted Garrett and I's career and visibility, and just using that within marketing has helped us. But what I'd like to do, Katie, if you'd be interested, is maybe have you on in the future, and we could have like a specific marketing episode and talk about a little more detailed, how you put certain marketing plans together, and maybe a little quicker episode to help our listeners who are business leaders, business owners, get their marketing plans together and maybe give them more confidence moving forward. Does that sound like something you'd be interested in doing?
I would love to do that. Yes, I would love that.
Very cool. Very cool.
Great.
Well, we're getting close to time, Katie. Before we leave, is there what way do you recommend people reach out to you? I know people will have questions. What are the best ways to contact you? Sure.
So the best way for me specifically is just for me personally and through my Instagram page. So it's Katie Kussy, KatieKussy. Or if they have specific questions about Firefly, my real estate business, or the podcast, we are on Facebook and Instagram for all of those platforms. So just by searching Firefly Grill or A Wedding Podcast will pop up my information, and they can absolutely reach out to us that way.
Very cool. Right. Well, thank you so much, Katie, for being a guest.
Thanks so much.
Yes, thank you very much. For you loyal listeners, make sure you are subscribing to the CIBL podcast on whatever platform you consume podcasts on, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify. Also, please, if you're listening to this, leave us a review. It'll help us greatly. You can also follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook, and you can also engage with our guests on social media there. So until next time, this has been the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/CIBL podcast. You can also follow us on LinkedIn. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It's the civilized thing to do.